Now, I must admit, I wasn't the biggest fan of the first two Thor films. I mean, don't get me wrong, I thought the first one was decent. It was a good origin story, but I really strongly disliked the Thor The Dark World, like I think most people did. But I can make a whole video about how much I disliked that movie, but I'm not going to. But, so I went into, Thor Ragnarok, with kind of hesitant, I was impressed by some of the trailers, I will admit. And I was really impressed that they went with a more unconventional choice, as far as Marvel goes, with Taika Watiti as the director. I won't go into spoilers, but I might as well get on to the actual thoughts on the film. One of the things I really liked about this film is it's kind of like a personal journey, kind of growth kind of story, because they kind of just take away everything that makes Thor Thor. Because, I mean, his hammer gets broken and his hair gets cut, and he has to figure out how to do most of this stuff on his own. Like, a lot of times in the past, he pretty much just solely relied on the hammer. So it's kind of like, what am I going to do without this hammer? And obviously, not a good timing, because then Hela comes back and tries to take over Asgard. So, not the greatest timing, for a personal journey. I do have to say I probably like the plot more for Thor Ragnarok than the previous two Thor films. I mean, it does kind of jump back and forth between 2 or 3 different plots, and it kind of messes with the pacing sometimes. But overall, I think the plot for this is a lot more interesting. Like, I wasn't bored at all. Like, I wasn't ever checking my phone or my watch thinking, okay, this is taking too long. It's like a over 2 hour long movie. And I actually felt like I wanted more of it. Of course, with it being a Marvel film, there's going to be a good amount of comedic moments throughout. And I have to say, I think this one has some of the funniest stuff in it since at least Guardians of the Galaxy 1 or even Ant-Man. Like, sometimes there's some jokes that are like hit and miss or very predictable. But for the most part, like, this film's pretty hilarious, I have to admit. Like, I was laughing throughout the entire thing. Like, it was that funny. Especially any of the moments involving Thor, the Hulk, or even Loki. Like, those are probably my favorite points in the movie, like those kind of jokes. It's also nice that they mix up the action scenes, because it's not all like hand-to-hand or sword-to-hammer scenes. They also do some, like, cool air battles, stuff like that. Like, much better than in Thor The Dark World. Sometimes they do go a little overboard with the slow-mo, like in every superhero movie, unfortunately. But, I mean, it's not, like, too over the top as far as, like, how much they use it. But, like, I really wish they just stopped using slow-mo shots, like, all the time in every superhero movie. But that's just me. Obviously, I'm a pretty big Chris Hemsworth fan, so I might be a little biased. But I honestly feel like this is his best performance as Thor in any of the Marvel Cinematic Universe films. Obviously, Thor is, for the most part, supposed to be kind of like a dumb meathead kind of character. And they really ramped it up in this one. Chris Hemsworth, like, it just works really well. Especially with, mix it in with the Hulk, who's also kind of like in the same boat. That kind of segues me into talking about the Hulk, because I did really like him in this movie. Even if it was kind of like a really huge coincidence that Thor just lands on this planet that ironically the Hulk is on. But he's used really well in this film. Like, he's not in it enough to overshadow Thor, but he's in it like just the perfect amount between that and, Bruce Banner, obviously. Also, it was really cool that they actually had the Hulk talk more than usual, since he's practically been mute since the Avengers. I mean, he's more of the main focus than Mark Ruffalo as Bruce Banner. But, I mean, they both get a good amount of screen time, so you're not going to be disappointed, in the lack of either one. But I just like that he talked. And do I really need to say that Tom Hiddleston did a great job as Loki? I mean, like, he's always hit it out of the park as Loki. He's always one of the best parts of any movie that Loki's in. Like, that's it. I mean, he's great. End of story. I must say that Cate Blanchett as Hela in this film as the villain was phenomenal. I have to admit that. Marvel seems to be on the right track with these villains lately, because they kind of just ignored developing them for the most part until, like, recently. But, I mean, she's ruthless, she's scary to look at. I mean, she kind of looks like Rita Repulsa from the Power Rangers reboot sometimes. Now, neither of these are positive or negative. I just kind of have mixed feelings about Karl Urban's Scourge and Tessa Thompson as Valkyrie. Like, I mean, sometimes they're really good, and sometimes they're kind of bad. It's just, like, mixed feelings how I feel about them. I'll have to actually probably rewatch this movie, sometime in the near future. Sometimes they're just and sometimes they're good. It is what it is to me. And Jeff Goldblum was also, okay. I mean, he's not really in it that much, and, like, he's just kind of a very eccentric character. I mean, it's cool it's Jeff Goldblum. I like Jeff Goldblum, but it's just, like, I mean, that kind of character could have been anybody. And besides doing a great job at directing this film, Taika Watiti did a very good job as the voice of Korg, and I hope he's in other future installments, because I enjoyed him, even though I wasn't expecting to. But anyway, moving on to my score for the film, I'd have to give Thor Ragnarok an A-. Personally, this was my favorite film of the Marvel Cinematic Universe that came out this year, over Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 and Spider-Man Homecoming. This one just had, like, the perfect storm of, like, an interesting plot, great performances, great villain. It's just a perfect storm of all that stuff that makes a Marvel movie great. So, I mean, definitely recommend checking this one out if you're a fan of the Marvel movies or superhero movies in general. Anyways, thank you for checking out my review of Thor Ragnarok. You know, feel free to leave a like, comment, you know, when you see the movie. Hit that subscribe button. But until next time, I'll see you guys later.